Hey, Sam fans! I wanted to start this episode by shouting out our two certified Sam stands from Patreon, Killabee and Temple Woods. Thanks for subscribing, you guys. And if any of you other listeners would like to support us on Patreon, we have 5 subscription tiers to choose from with tons of awesome extras for you, including early access to weekly episodes, live blogging with other Sam fans and the hosts, 2 extra Patreon podcast episodes per month, and much, much more. Check it out and enjoy this episode of A Sam Girl Retrospective. So, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of A Sam Girl Retrospective. We were supposed to have a full house today for this recording, and we even had it on the calendar 2 months ago, and everyone would have been here. But I got super sick and was throwing up, and it was gross. So 2 months later, here we are. And so we've got Vic and we've got Elle, which is very
Hello.
exciting.
Hello. I'm Vic.
But I don't know if
Just a reminder.
Yeah, that's her voice. And there's Elle's voice.
Hello.
She smiled into the camera like you can see her. Just imagine. So yeah, she's doing this incredible thing where she dog sits in between because she's a teacher like me. And so she will go and stay at these incredible houses and like hang out with dogs. But the place she's at right now has 0 Wi-Fi. So she was gonna have to drive home and she hasn't gotten back to us if she's gonna be able to hop on. So I'm assuming no. Jess is momming right now. It's Christmas. It's like 2 days after Christmas. So she's probably with family. So we might hear from them. They might hop in. They're always welcome. But the cast you get for Croatoan, which is a heavy hitter, might just be the 3 of us, which will also be good. So, did you guys have a good holiday?
Yes. I did, yeah.
I injured
Said
myself
it's
gravely,
Oh
but
no.
just in time to go to Disney tomorrow. I've twisted my ankle badly.
No.
Oh, ow.
Oh my
So,
God.
so it's gonna be great running around with a 5-year-old at Disney.
Are you going to Orlando?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Are y'all doing like all the parks?
We have access to all the parks. I don't know. We're gonna be there for 3 days, well, 5 days, but travel on either end.
Right.
And then it's gonna, it's really largely gonna be dependent on what he wants to
What he
do,
wants
the
to do.
5-year-old, because
Yeah.
it's somewhat for us, but mostly for him. So
That is so cool. Well, thank you for squeezing us in today.
and that was why I was like, Saturday, I will be on a plane. I can't.
You're
I
holding a
can't.
cat. Whose is
Oh
that?
yeah,
Who is that kitty cat? Oh, he looks
this is
mad.
it's Eleanor. She always looks like that, but she is the loveliest,
Eleanor.
happiest, purriest kitty. She just has resting
Bitch
cat
face.
face.
She has
As in-
eyeliner. She has that beautiful like liner that
She
gives
does.
her the
She's
fierce.
she's also got like the droopy eyes, so her eyelids are like halfway down her eyeballs.
So she always looks like she's judging you a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, she
Freya's
does.
like that too. She
She
always looks like she's
does.
judging you.
I've always thought I'm like, you'll be like, look how happy she is. And I'm like, she kind of looks mad.
She's
Once
also
you get
just
to know
like
them,
she's
then you-
very
Right.
poised and majestic, except for when she's not. But like whenever you photograph her, she always seems to know, and
Ellie
she makes
never
herself
is.
look like so regal.
She's a
And then
poser.
yeah, it's so
Or
funny.
not a bad
Ellie,
poser. She's a
like she poses. She's like a
Yes.
queen.
Yeah.
She's a model.
Ellie is like the smallest cat, but she sounds like a whole ass human coming down the stairs. She has no grace at all.
Bump,
She
bump,
is
bump, bump.
uh-huh.
I love
She
that.
No,
just
Freya's tiny
yeah.
and she acts like she's tiny because she'll just sneak up on you and you'll be like, ah! Like, where did you come from?
No, I can hear her coming from a mile. Like I have fully thought there were people in my house that I didn't expect, like
That's
Oh,
terrifying.
God.
intruders, because
And then it's
Ellie
just your
decided
cat
to-
like thumping down the
she's just
stairs.
thump, thump, thump.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because
Dork.
you heard me shake a bag or something and thought it was a treat. Got it. Don't
Okay.
shake bags anymore.
Well, we have like news, right? Like we have news. So like me and Elle have finally started recording our secondary little podcast, which is actually just Elle's fiction that she wrote, Lustra. So we've started that. It's going to be on Patreon, which if you're listening to this when we release it in the future, you may have already heard the first few episodes. Okay. And I am going to read a chapter or two on the first episode. Of course, Ella's and Vic is going to as well. We're going to keep that going. Also,
so apologies in advance for British Samandine.
It's going to be so fun. I can't wait. I can't wait for that. And then Vic, for Christmas, received enough money. She's decided to go to a supernatural convention in May, correct?
Yeah, yes. I'm so bad at spending money. It makes me feel so anxious. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna do it. I need to like work
That's
myself
the plan.
up.
That's the
And
plan.
I'll just get Robin to do it for me or something.
Yeah, just have him click the button.
Just click it.
Yeah.
That's all I need to. Everything else is set up. Just click the button, please.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we're gonna have like feet on the ground at a supernatural
Yes.
convention. And who, pray tell, Vic, are you planning to get an autograph from?
I can't possibly imagine who it might be.
Which one? Who will it be?
Yeah. Look, I may have joked about the fact that there needs to be a I am only here for Jared package. Like
That's the shirt you're gonna make, obviously.
You can't because Ackle's army would be all over you.
But Jensen's not going to be there unless he's added very last minute.
It doesn't
not
matter. They will still be all over you. They'll be like, how dare you?
That would be an interesting convention. I've gone to 3 supernatural conventions, and obviously they were
because
all
you've only been
there.
to the creation ones, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Wait, is this
live
not a
here.
creation?
Mm-mm.
Is this not a creation one?
Thankfully they did like creation took over the UK cons for like 1 year and then pandemic happened, I guess, and then they've never come back.
They were like,
Oh,
peace out.
That's nice.
Lucky.
Yeah, I mean, Jared has started doing non-creation cons in the US as well. Like he started doing Comic Cons. I think Jensen is still like tied to. I think he's like still tied to a creation contract, so he's not been doing as many outside cons. But I know Jared has.
It feels so weird to think of them
My
as
understanding
not
is
being
it's significantly cheaper if you are on the I just want to get Jared's autograph
Yeah,
bandwagon.
100%.
Wow, yeah, I imagine so. It feels so weird to think of them as not being like on the same contract wavelength. Like,
Yeah, I've seen a few too. Like, is Jen gonna be one of the people too? Because I know that she's done a few appearances like at cons
she's not on there.
here too.
She's not on there yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if she gets
Yeah.
added.
They're
Yeah,
gonna probably go
I mean,
on vacation or something.
I'd sign up
Yeah, exactly.
for a Padalecki package.
Oh my God.
Oh wow,
yeah.
that sounds really. Actually,
I
can you
just-
edit that out because that sounds terrible.
I'm gonna
They
actually
have
raise
done-
the volume on that moment and isolate it.
They have definitely
That's
done
gonna be my
autographed
ringtone.
Euros at other Eurocons. I'm pretty certain they did one together at Purgatory, which is the French one last year.
Yeah, I think
you
I
know,
saw.
happen.
I don't know if it was a US one or not, but she was like, they were like Genevieve Padalecki and like listed all of her stuff, and like I was like, oh my God, like I love her. Like I've always
I do
wanted
too.
at a creation con, I was always like, is she gonna be here? And like I always saw like Jared's family because they live in Texas, and
Oh, yeah, of course.
but never the kids and never her. Like so it was like his sister and brother and like his mom and dad and like everybody. So that's really cool if like Jen is gonna be there. Like we'll keep our fingers
well,
crossed.
we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
I really like Jen, but my problem is that I want to be her friend, and that's
Oh yeah, I
Not
want to
like-
be your friend.
I know, but
obviously.
like that's like stalkery behavior.
It's very
so
parasocial of us. But like
Right.
what are we to do? Like
she
she's
seems
so
cool though. She seems cool. Like
Yeah.
I
She does
want to
seem
be
very cool.
like there are just people that you're like, you know what? Yeah, I would be that person's friend, and I think we would get along really well. So, but no, they like put restraining orders against you and stuff. If you-
Well, only if you're
if you
weird.
Try,
Only if you're weird. Be very cool and I bet you'll make it in.
Audrey. Listen,
think-
you've
Au-
met
Audrey,
me,
if-
okay? That's not. I'm gonna
Audrey,
make
you
it
might-
weird.
If you keep this bit in, you might want to put a like Jen, don't listen to this bit warning beforehand in case we ever get her to listen.
Right,
Like
Jen's
Jen,
forward
just so you
to
know,
such and such minutes.
we are very cool and normal. And especially
We just
normal
have a
about
whole
you.
podcast dedicated to a character your husband played. That's all. It's
just
very
he's
normal.
Good at it. He's very
It's
talented.
very normal. You know, when you're an
She
actor.
married him because she met him playing that character. So she gets
You know what? Good point.
She
We're
gets
just
it.
like her.
So anyways, Jen, I think we've proved that we
Oh
can
my
all be
God.
friends. And I'm really glad you're listening to this podcast now, obviously.
Hi, Jen. Should we start every podcast from now on? Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen. Well, that's my hope, is that if we get Vic on ground, like feet on the ground at a con, like we can make stickers or something, and it's like,
Armed with
hi,
business cards.
listen to this podcast, and then maybe like one of the cast members will, and maybe like Jared or Jen or both of them will eventually like listen to us.
Yeah,
that's the dream.
Get
from
a
the
page
beginning.
full of stickers and just slap them onto people as you pass them.
Just they're not. It's not even that you're like hoping they enjoy the sticker. They're just now a bumper sticker for us. Like they're just
right.
And
they're just advertisement.
We're sending the wrong envoy. Like, I'm not the extrovert in this group.
Oh, that's true. That's
so that's why Elle's like idea is perfect. You just like stick stickers on people.
Yeah, you don't have to talk to anybody.
Well,
you just have to walk away afterwards, and then there's no risk.
You're like,
and all reward. Just don't even talk to him. Just slap, walk away. Slap, walk away.
You look like you might enjoy this sticker. So long, goodbye forever.
It's on your forehead now. Go.
Hey, I mean, the only one that matters is Jared's, and you're going to.
That's true.
The plan is you're going to get his autograph. So just be like, also, here's this. Love you, bye.
Yeah,
I think you could do that for sure.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
That's a key aspect. Should we talk about the episode?
We probably should.
I guess. Well,
we haven't talked in so long that we're just
we're like catching up. Well, and it's only one episode.
That's true.
So we've got
So let's just fuck around for a lot more time.
Behind the scenes, Audrey put a slot on the calendar for this for 5 hours. So buckle up, guys.
You just never know. You never know. We do have a podcast calendar, and I did that just in case. You just don't. We might have so much to say about Croatoan. Well, I can go ahead and let's get into the summary of the episode. It's a heavy hitter. That's why originally we planned to have everyone on it, and originally we planned for everyone to get to talk about this one up because it is such a big one. But really, to me, it's the cliffhanger at the end that makes us a little crazy. Like I had to go on to watch the beginning of the next because I couldn't remember exactly. But Croatoan is about Croatoan. Like it is the same story as Roanoke, but it is supernaturalified. And so we start with poor Sam again is having like this dream, but at first you don't know it's the cold open, and Dean is pointing a gun at a young man who is begging for his life, and then he shoots him, and we're like, what? And we've discussed in the past that anytime the boys are in the cold open, it's bad. Like we're like, okay, something very intense is happening. So Sam sits up, he is having this dream that he saw Dean do this, and then he like all of his hyper focus on details is able to tell him like where in the US this happened. So they rush to this place. And so once they're there, they discover that people are starting to act like evil. They're starting to kill each other and be weird and mean. And they're being infected by blood, like being infected by other people's blood. So it's very like what's going on. So they it's kind of a ghost town a little bit. Like everything's starting to get shut down. They're like being isolated. Sam runs into a pillar that has Croatoan like etched into it. They start talking about Roanoke and drawing like parallels. They have a moment where they discuss the idea that it's a demon disease because it's turning them into like just like monstrous people. And Dean definitely like just kills a bunch of people without a second thought because of this disease. So finally Sam gets infected, or so we think. And of course then Dean has to struggle with that. And before anything happens, everyone disappears from Roanoke or from the Croatoan. place. And 5 hours goes by. They have this wonderful female doctor who's like checking on a microscope everybody's blood, and Sam is like fine. And they're like, I guess you're fine. And so they leave, and they're like, that's weird. What we discover at the end is one of the guys they were chilling with was a demon the whole time. They were observing Sam's reaction to this, and so that whole thing was a test from the demons, which is very upsetting. We'll talk about that. And then the very end is the boys finally having a moment to discuss briefly, before leaving us on a cliffhanger, what did John say to Dean about Sam right before he died? And right before we find out, the episode ends. It's very upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wrote at the end of that.
Yes, that's it, literally word for word what I wrote.
Word for word.
Mm-hmm. Damn, I said, yeah, they did the fans really dirty by ending the episode like that.
Oh yeah. Just lots of capital A's. That's exactly what mine says. Just capital A's. I don't handwrite mine, so I can't show you, but it's
Yeah. I was like, well, I'm immediately going to go watch the beginning of the next one because I don't remember. I was like, I don't remember exactly how this goes, and I do want to know. So anyways, so where do you guys want to start? Because I think chronologically is good, but like there's so much. I think we don't need to be too hard on ourselves if we jump around.
I'd be happy to start off chronological at least, and then
Let's do it.
There's some bits where I can see us moving around just because there's like stuff that connects. But
I did say that I felt like it was very cruel that Sam had to have a premonition of like his own brother committing a murder, because all of them are a premonition of someone getting killed. And so for him to have this dream and it looked like Dean is the bad guy. Oof.
The visions are progressively getting worse. Like he wakes up on the floor in this one. Yeah, and I wrote,
like violent.
Now I haven't been watching the ones, I haven't had time to watch the ones in between the episodes that I'm not commenting on. So I don't know for sure, but I think I wrote this might be the first one that directly features one of them in the premonition.
I feel like that's true. I do feel like that's true.
Yes.
Like they see the things and obviously they're going to get there, but they're not actually in the vision doing a thing. They're not the person that needs to be prevented from doing a thing or the person that needs to be saved until now.
Yes.
So that I thought was noteworthy and pretty like gut punchy. And then this whole opening where it's like this dreary town, the colors are very drab, it's very misty, and the whole conversation that they have about Roanoke, okay, well then let's call for help. Well, my phone doesn't have signal, and then no phones can get out, and then Dean has the realization, if I was going to massacre an entire town, this would be my first step. And like I just, how that steps up in intensity was so effective to me. In just like 2.5 minutes, the pressure just gets ratcheted up so nicely, and it's like this gradual realization that it's bigger than just like a dude who might have been evil. Like in Sam's premonition, it's just this one dude. But like you get this idea that this is like a planned annihilation. And it just makes it so ominous and so much bigger than we thought it was going to be.
I have a comment just actually on the then section, the like previously on, which is that the way the previously on is done, the previously on very clearly understands that Dean hitting Sam was about him not handling the situation well and taking out his own frustrations on Sam, because it very clearly shows Dean hitting Sam in Bloodlust in a montage of him hitting other people and things, like kind of demonstrating that. And it's not just like, because Sam deserved it, because he was winding Dean up. Like, I just like to highlight when the show is very clear about these things, and the way that that's constructed in the then is very clear that it's like lumping it in with all this other stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, also we get after Sam has his vision and he comes back, we have the first of two instances of Dean referring to Sam's visions as weirdo visions.
Oh my God,
Twice in the same episode.
he's such a dick about it.
So I literally just wrote othering.wav. Like, it's incredible that he literally says it the exact same thing twice as well. Like when he comes back to it and says, "As I said before, your weirdo visions."
Yeah.
Like,
He's such an asshole about it. Like he's so rude. And it's like, you only know to come save these people because of these visions. Like
Right.
I don't understand. It's the same thing, and we'll get into this years from now, but like when in season 4, when he's using the demon blood to spare killing the vessel, like it's the same shit where Dean's like, that's bad. And he's like, I'm literally saving people so we're not shooting people. Like, what are we talking
Or
about?
stabbing them to death. This
Yeah.
shit saves people.
Yeah,
It should, like, I always
also.
thought, sorry, I always thought that it should, that we'll talk about later, should have just been another tool in their arsenal. And I
Yeah.
never connected it back to Sam's visions in the same way, but that's exactly how they should be using it. Like, it exists. You're not getting rid of it, and it's your own brother, so it's not like you have to trust some monster.
Yeah.
It should just be a tool that you use to go and save even more people. That's supposed to be the family motto. Just saying.
I actually do have a like comment. I guess it can slot in later on when we get to talking about the scene where Dean's refusing to leave Sam or to kill him. But it about the difference between Dean's journey in terms of Sam's otherness or potential monstrosity in season 2 versus season 4. But I'll save that till we get to that bit. But,
okay, I mean, you can say it whenever, but yeah. Like there is 100% like a parallel, and it comes down to Dean's discomfort, period. Like people want to act like, I don't know, they want to act like it's logical for Dean to be like, it's like, of course he's weirded out by this, and it's like, okay, but like if you look at the actual outcome, this is helping them save people. You know what I mean? So like, why are we weirded out by, I mean, obviously it's strange for your brother to have like psychic abilities, but like, why are we being mean about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like, I think, Vic, you sent us just a Tumblr like screenshot, which is what we do in our off time. We just like look at hilarious things from Tumblr. And I think one of the quotes was from Kripke long time ago about yellow fever, which again is in the future, about like, is Dean a dick? See, I mean, yes, but and him being like, no, he's a hero, and I'm like, he can be both. B, yes, of course he's a dick. He's an asshole all the fucking time. And
you
like,
set that rule up in that episode.
Yes, and also
they wrote him like that.
The evidence is clear. Like, I'm sorry if you like Dean and you don't want him to be an asshole, but you fell in love with an asshole. We've all been there. Like, and he can be an asshole and he can be likable too. And
this is what we discuss so often on Tumblr at the moment. It's just like the true like Dean enjoyers are mostly Sam enjoyers, because they're the only people who are actually like enjoy, like, because you can enjoy Dean. I do
enjoy him
Dean
for who and what he
is. Yes.
Yeah. And not pretend that he's not what he is.
I don't always like Dean, but I always enjoy Dean.
And I always loved him. And that's why it hurts so much when he's a dick.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I really enjoy Dean when the writing seems to understand that his dickishness can be a cover for the vulnerabilities that he has about, like, he doesn't feel all the time like he can protect his little brother. Like, so he's a dick about it. Right. And if the show was more understanding of that, then his dickishness would be one of those prickly vulnerabilities that we love about those kinds of asshole characters, that we're just like, oh, it's because he's so broken. And Dean is broken, but because the show paints him as this like unblemished hero, it's really hard for me in canon to like think of him as anything other than a dick.
People go, oh, yes, he's like this broken boy who's got all these vulnerabilities underneath. So then they just sweep away everything that he does in order to disguise that stuff. And it's like, but causing real material harm to other people.
And it
Yes.
is part of who he is. That's what he's
Yeah.
choosing to do to cover the vulnerability. So you can't
Right.
say, well, it doesn't count because what he's doing is a coping mechanism. I'm like, no, it does count because
It does count.
that is the coping mechanism that Dean has.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't say that it doesn't count, but also woobify the broken boy at the same
Yeah.
time.
I mean, this is
Right?
the same stuff as the
Right.
people who say that every incidence of Dean being misogynistic or homophobic is actually like because he's really queer. Like, also as if queer men can't be wildly
Misogynistic.
misogynistic.
Oh my God. Yeah, 100%. That's so
Or
crazy.
or phobic, as in biphobic. Just saying.
Yeah.
Phobic
Not
of
that
all
I've
queerness.
Or transphobic. Or yeah.
Not
No,
that
yeah.
I've experienced anything like that. or anything.
And I
Since
think
we
that's
start-
a
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, since we did start talking about it, I might as well just bring up the point I had about the like season 2 versus season 4 stuff.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was going to say is like, so one of the things about this season, and something that we see very, very clearly in this episode, is that the journey that Dean goes on in this season is about learning how to make space for Sam in his worldview.
Yes.
So within the season, what Dean does is basically he doesn't change his worldview, but he twists it to accommodate Sam, which is why he ends up being a hypocrite in most situations.
All the time,
like
yeah.
in this episode, you know,
Yeah.
he's willing to.
I
shoot
literally
the other
wrote
people off the bat.
hypocrite in all caps at
Yeah.
one point in my notes.
Exactly. Like, you know, he's willing to shoot other people off the bat with no evidence, but as soon as it's Sam and there's clear evidence that he's been infected, he's like, no, I can't do that. So
Yeah.
Dean in season 2, he's so willing to mold his worldview without actually changing it to fit around Sam.
Right.
But season 4 is the point at which Dean stops doing that.
Yes.
He can't do that anymore. And it's like, what's the difference between season 2 and season 4? And to me, the difference is that season 2 Sam doesn't have agency. The
Right.
visions are happening to him. He
Yeah,
doesn't
he's
have
not choosing it.
control over them, and he's not choosing to do something with them other than occasionally being like, well, I've had the vision anyway, let's go find out what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
In season 4, the whole point is that Sam takes the thing that he feels is the thing that makes him a monster and wants to make something good out of it. So it's Sam taking agency over his own monstrosity as a way to try and obtain normality. Like, he's like, we're going to try and like push through this and we'll kill Lilith and then like maybe then we can get out, right?
Yeah.
So it's the agency, I think, that's the real difference in terms of whether or not Dean can shape his worldview around it.
I agree.
That's interesting.
I also think
I
Dean
can't take complete credit for this. Alice Fouter on Tumblr has written a lot about this.
I
so,
love this. I would love to see some meta. I also think we have to consider Dean is hardened after being in hell, and he has a lot more distrust of demons since then too. And so that also would probably contribute to it. But at the core of it, the relation he has to Sam, I think that nails it, is that if Sam is making decisions that Dean cannot co-sign and control, he hates it. Like, if it's something that like he doesn't agree with Sam fully on, but it's like, you know, kind of normal, it's fine. They have a disagreement. If it's something like this, there's no space in Dean's mind to even consider that it can be a tool.
I also want to say, like, I agree with all of that, and that goes into whether or not Sam is allowed to make his own decisions about all kinds of stuff in the future as well.
Yeah.
But I also was going to I also was going to point out that Dean has just come out of hell, where he has been subject to a lot of things that he probably feels were not in his control, but he also was put into a position where he more or less had to voluntarily like pick up the whip. But we all know that that's not really his choice. That's just what happened to him, but he probably feels like it's a choice. So in feeling so guilty about that, I think it turns around on Sam in such a way that he's like, first of all, I gave up a lot for you to go turn around and choose this. And also, I I chose this and I'm terrible. Therefore, you choosing this makes you terrible too. Like anything to do with you. Like you, so you're coerced into it. Doesn't matter. Me too. Still scum of the earth. Like, um, I don't think that I don't think it's the primary reason, but I definitely think it feeds in.
Yeah, he is always projecting in certain ways. And so that would make a lot of sense too. To see Sam choosing to do something that reminds him of something he hates about himself, then he would get especially angry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we see this with Sam going to Stanford, and
Hmm.
I mean, and Dean explicitly does in season 4, like when he talks about Sam, like he's like, I this is it, I'm cutting him off. He's no longer my brother, etc. And he literally does and he went to Stanford. It's just like, sure, man.
Okay, dude.
My God.
Okay, dude.
Sure, Jan.
Going back to when they first arrive in Roanoke, I have to say, so I haven't been since I was 4 years old, but I don't feel that this place looks particularly like anywhere near Crater Lake.
I don't even know where they're supposed to be, honestly.
Crater Lake.
Yeah, I wrote.
I did write Crater Lake down.
So it's
Okay, let
supposed to
me
be in
look it up.
Oregon.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it's
okay,
Pacific
okay.
Northwest. Yeah, I mean, but we all know it's just somewhere in
No,
Canada.
I know.
Honestly,
I've never been to Crater Lake. So
it's closer to looking like Crater Lake than like it looks like other places, because Canada
Well,
and
sure.
Oregon are like right there. Like where they film is just like
but on the
a
other
few
hand,
hundred miles
At
up,
least they didn't film in like Dallas and call it Crater Lake.
or in a forest and call
true.
it Richardson, Texas. I'll never get over that.
I did like the fact that they put some canoes and stuff there to be like, here we're
Here, there's a
lake.
lake.
There's a lake here.
Well,
Justice.
my second note I took was like Sam, even in a panic, is really good at noticing details, and his memory is like really great. So like he's panicked and they're driving, and he's just like, yeah, I remember this, and this. I remember these things. I remember this name, and I was like, girl,
Yeah,
I don't even remember the show that I've seen before.
I
did think his little like phone sat nav thing was that dated the show so beautifully.
Oh, I know.
I love it when that happens.
Where you're like, oh no.
And when I was first watching this, I was in the middle of rewatching Gilmore Girls, and the jump from like season 1 Dean Forrester in Gilmore Girls to season 2 Sam Winchester is like so wild. And I like didn't think of what that would do to my Supernatural rewatch experience when I started, but it was fall. What was I to do? So that was fun. I've since like not continued watching Gilmore Girls. So like I rewatched Croatoan yesterday so that I could get a little bit fresher. This is literally like days before the end of, it's like almost New Year's. And so it's been a while, but I was like, oh, I forgot I was doing that when I was first watching it. It was very jarring.
Yes. That's funny.
Cute little gangly little guy, and then like boof.
A little baby deer.
And then a beefcake. Yeah. Should we talk about how it's hilarious for them to pretend to be U.S. Marshals, or is that a tired conversation?
I was going to say the bit I do like about that is when Dean notices the guy's military tattoo and immediately brings up their dad's military history. I love it when they do that. They do it quite often. Whenever they see like a dude, they're always like immediately go to the, oh, I can ingratiate myself with this guy by being like, my dad was also in the military, because it's such a real thing. Like
yes.
that like military dudes will literally trust you the instant you're like, oh yeah, my dad was in like X company, etc. Yep. Like it's so real, and I just love it as like a little detail, and they do it quite often, so I always enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is it too. Like stealing valor when you're like, my dad, and someone is like, yeah, sure.
It's the only thing that he gave them.
Yeah,
it's the only thing John gave them, so let it be.
Let them have it, okay? Let's let them have it.
I mean, if they were stealing valor, I'd be all for it. They'd go for it. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
I did want to talk about, so when they find the first house where it's like the dad and the son, and they've got the mom there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the son is like a terrible liar.
Yeah, they called him they said it was very Stepfordy the way they were acting.
Yes.
Yeah. But this so the son like jumps out the window or something. And Sam like has him in a shot.
Yes.
And I wrote, does he not take the shot because he's not sure and he has
Yes.
doubts, or because he just doesn't have the shot?
Well, and
But
he
then
says later,
later, yeah,
it's a
um,
kid.
it's a kid, and Dean is yelling at him for hesitating to take the shot. And I
He
get
goes,
that
it's an it. It's not a
It.
kid.
it's it, and like I get that it makes the job harder, but like it's a good thing to have qualms about shooting a kid.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, Dean,
don't they say
sorry.
that? Like it's supposed to
Yeah,
be
Sam
hard,
says
Dean.
it's
That's the
supposed to
It's
be
point.
hard.
supposed to be
Yeah.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
But I mean,
like,
this is literally what I mean about the fact that Dean's worldview has not changed by the end of this episode. If he saw that kid again, he would still call that kid an it. It's just
Well,
that he's able to accommodate Sam into it, right?
he's struggling
right.
with it because it's not just, I mean, it's every episode this season is Sam having
Yeah.
to remind him like, okay, we need to
Well, that's
hesitate.
kind of what I mean,
And
right?
like,
Yeah.
Sam has to remind him every episode. It's not like Dean learns from it and then is like, oh, my worldview is now changing. Like,
but I
his
don't even know if
worldview never
it's
changes.
I don't even know if it's that he's not learning. It's that he's resentful that it's true. Like he literally
Yeah.
says, I wish we'd never taken this job. I think it was with um
Mm.
the Sterling K. Brown character, where he was like, now I have to think about it. It was the Lenore episode. He's like, I wish you'd never
It
taken
was
this job.
Bloodlust, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
just 2 episodes ago.
yeah, and so he's hoping that he can go back every time and make it simple.
He
And
wants to go
Sam is
back to the black and white.
constantly like, no. And I get what you mean. Like he's not changing his worldview, but it's not that his worldview, it's not that he's not thinking about it, it's that he's just pissed that he has to think about
Oh
it.
no, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like he's not changing his it's not that he's not thinking about it.
Mhm.
It's that he is deliberately not changing his
Yes.
worldview because he doesn't want to. He doesn't
Yeah.
want it to be disrupted. That's why he will do anything to literally like warp it around Sam as
Well-
opposed to having to actively change it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think part of that is I realize I'm giving Dean like a whole lot of grace in this episode, but a lot
Someone
of that
needs
is I think someone needs to. Do they? Um
He
a
gets
lot
a
of
lot
it
in
is
the
I
fandom.
think they even say at some point like how many creatures have we killed that didn't deserve it, and now they have to think
Mhm.
about that. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of that is Dean having to come to terms internally with the fact that he's been trained, like let's not forget, military trained by their father to
Yep.
kill all monsters, period. And now he has to grapple with this idea that they may have been killing innocent
He has to grapple
things.
with nuance, which is something he hates.
He hates nuance, but the things
Sick.
that he's done in the past he can't change. So
Right.
he's like, so if I become okay with the nuance now, I have to go back in time to when I was a teenager and grapple with the fact that I killed innocent things, may have killed innocent things as a teenager, and that is hard work. And he doesn't,
yes.
and like he doesn't have a therapist.
I'm having an epiphany
You
right
know?
now.
Like,
I'm
he
having an
needs a
epiphany
therapist.
right now, and I want to say something. So I feel like, and this is why I think I was you don't I don't know. You don't get to always choose what you believe. Like sometimes you just start understanding something in a way and you're like, well, shit, now I cannot believe in this way because I now understand that it's actually this way. I feel like Dean's worldview, his whole life, was the John worldview,
Mhm.
like you guys, like y'all were saying. And then he was faced with unequivocal proof with Lenore that that is not always true. It is not black and white. And that's why he's so pissed. And I feel like I've never thought of it in terms of this, but like the more that Sam forces him to face that his worldview has been wrong in the past and that he needs to change it, it's changing against his will. And when he pushes back and the meaner he is about it, and the more like violent he is about it, and the more pushback he is about it, it's him expressing the resentment of Sam creating this retroactive shame that he now has to sit
Mhm.
with. And it's not that he doesn't believe the way that Sam believes. It's that he now has to, maybe actually he like does, and he is pushing back because he can't accept it because of the shame. And maybe, I don't know, I think I'm gonna enjoy at least a little bit accepting that as a reason why he gets so mean with Sam from here on out, a little bit. Just because for a while it was hard for me to be like, why is he such a dick? Like, damn. And it
Mhm.
was like his dad just died, or this happened or that happened. But I could really buy textually in the show, I could buy it being partially because he resents that now he does kind of buy into what Sam is saying, and he wishes that he didn't. And so he's going so far the other way to
Yeah. I
Can
mean,
I
avoid
also,
that.
I would like to hook onto that, um,
Sure.
to say that it could also be a little bit of resentment because Sam seems to have embraced this viewpoint much earlier in life than
Mm-hmm.
Dean did. And so Sam has, we'll learn later that Sam did make a little monster friend way back in the day, and that's
Colin
going to be
Ford,
a little Colin Ford
little
made a little
Sam.
monster friend. Like
Yes.
he seems to, especially from Dean's perspective now, he seems to have just come by this realization naturally. And it probably seems to Dean like Sam doesn't have these kinds of shameful regrets that he now has to grapple with. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, great. It's easy for you because you didn't buy into this worldview that I was trained into, even though they had the same upbringing.
Right.
Like a lot of it is going to be that they're just two very different people
Mm-hmm.
with different experience. Like Sam was always rebellious of his dad, so he was naturally going to be looking for ways to not be into that hunting culture. And so Dean feeling like a little bit resentful that Sam doesn't have to grapple the way that he is now.
Yeah, as he perceives it.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
At least
the
with
other
this
thing is,
part. Yeah.
it's not just Sam who's disrupted this worldview. Sam has disrupted it from the side of monstrous things may not be monstrous,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But his dad has also disrupted it because what we will find out in the next episode is what he's told, what he told Dean, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is you either have to save your brother or kill him, which is leading into it's feeding into the same thing that we had introduced in the very first episode of the idea that human things can become monstrous, that the barrier is permeable between the two things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's being disrupted from both angles. I think that's
Yeah.
really important. And I think that that is a lot of the reason why Dean is then clamping down and becoming even harder, even more rigid in his black and white view,
Mm-hmm.
because he needs that separation. But at the same time, he can't bring himself
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't want to have to follow that order. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to have
Oh
to follow
no.
that order desperately more than anything else. So that's where he becomes so willing to twist the definition, but only in relation to Sam.
Shazam.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's actually
Everything
so
else has to stay solid because if he twists everything in order to accommodate it, it's still messy.
yeah.
And he wants it to be clean.
He needs it to be clean, and the only way to be clean is to twist the definition around Sam so that Sam can wrap back into us and no longer be in them.
Right.
He can't change the definition of what them is. He needs to change the definition of what Sam is.
Yes.
Right. And it's so interesting from that perspective because we've already had the Benders,
Mm.
which are
Yes.
human monsters, but that doesn't cause a crisis in him the way it does when we learn that Sam might be, quote, the
I think
human monster that he might have
because
to take care of because it's
they are
Sam.
monstrous, but they're monstrous in a very human way.
Yeah,
the
but
the
I'm just
the
saying,
monstrosity
like,
that they're
yeah,
committing is, you can relate that to stuff that you've read about serial killers, or yeah, there's real world stuff in which you can relate that to. I think that would be my explanation as to why that doesn't disrupt it as much, because they are monstrous, but they're monstrous in a way that feels human, whereas
yeah,
Sam is demonstrating monstrosity in a way that very clearly feels other.
I was gonna say that it's just because it's Sam and it's his
is.
blood relation.
Well, that too.
Like,
Yeah.
like he could care less about other humans.
We're not
frankly.
talking about the Benders in so far as like in general, like in
Right,
we're talking about in terms of how Dean would view it. It's like a one-off. Like those guys were weird, bye, and like move on.
Yeah.
And then there's Sam, and it's like, well, he's my world, and now I have to really sit here and fucking.
But I also think that like it just doesn't disrupt it in the same way as the reverse of Lenore is a vampire who can be good, because that's like that's a monster acting against type. Right. Whereas and doing something he perceives to be human. Whereas I think that the Benders is, as I said, I think it's like
he could call the police.
It's a monstrous act, but it's a monstrous.
He could be like, "Hey,
human enough.
Police 911. There's a bunch of weirdos over here." I get it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I did have a note about the weirdo vision. These are not great notes. Some of these notes are just like ridiculous. It's the weirdo vision, but I said like, okay. You could be nicer, like. And he said,
"No, we need to balance. We need to balance, Audrey, because I'm always going to be like, I've like overthought this by 10 times. So we need some notes that are just like, I do have one about when it's Dean and the ex-military guy in the car after like he persuades him to get in, and they're both just holding their shotguns and holding their guns at each other, and it's just, like, just two men and their guns shouting.
Just guys being bros. Well,
don't forget the iconic line from when they meet, which is, "You got a neighbor named Mr. Rogers?" Not anymore.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that guy was so cool. Okay, so
he was really cool.
I also had like I wrote down when Dean was like, "Well, I'm sure I had a good reason," and Sam was like, "Yeah, I hope so." And he was like, "Well, I wouldn't ice an innocent man." And I was like, "Okay, but like we're all watching and clearly able to believe that it's a possibility, which is concerning. Like that's concerning for you as a character, you know?" And then like later Sam this was funny to me too, because Sam is talking to the family. It's the kid that goes out the window. Like we kind of skipped this part, but he was like, this young man, he might be able to help us. And I went like, Sam, you are young man. Like, what are we doing? We're pretending you're not 23. Like, what's happening? And then, of course, not Sam shoulder checking a light pole with the name of the episode title on it. But
of course. Yeah, they said the thing. I actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I want to say something. Hold on. Here's my last thing. It says,
Audrey's like, it's my podcast.
Hold on. Well, no, this is so irrelevant. If you go into something cool, this will be later. So I was just going to say, I maintain the greatest theory of what happened at Roanoke was presented in Mike Flanagan's Flanagan's masterpiece, Midnight Mass. So there's that.
Oh, yes.
Very good. And vampires are there. Anyway. Oh, and Sam framed in that window, like you were saying before, aiming the gun is chef's kiss. It's very beautiful.
Oh, so good. It's so beautiful. I did have a little bit more to say about that. We might have treaded this already, but
I keep interrupting Vic though. Let Vic say her thing and then we'll go back.
It's okay. It's literally only a small thing. I was just going to say that when they get to the hospital or the doctor's surgery or whatever,
women doctors.
Yeah. No, when Sam's helping the wife out of the car and he like has his hand on her back like the whole way and he's like, it's okay, and he like rubs her shoulder and stuff.
It's always very tender, yeah.
Very soft. I like that.
Yes.
I was just gonna add on to, this is so everywhere. I hope you guys are enjoying listening to this because
we're doing our best.
We are doing our best 2 days after Christmas. So when this is back about the kid who went out the window, right? Yeah. So and we were talking about how Dean calls the kid an it, and like, of course, once again, and we'll talk about this later, Dean ends up being right about the kid, right? Sure. But like I wrote, like, think about it, Dean. You know there's something terrible about Sam, something that might mean you have to do something you don't want to do, wouldn't you rejoice about hearing him still be the bleeding heart you've always known him to be? Like, I'd take any sign that he was still Sam, any chance I got.
Well,
Like,
because he's annoyed with Sam no matter what Sam does. That's
I
like
know
what
he can't
becomes a
win.
bigger problem later is that the goalpost is always shifting. Right now, it's
Yeah.
just these little moments where it's like, oh, he's annoyed about the visions. Oh, now he's annoyed that Sam's being Sam. Like, what
Sam
is
can't win,
he can't win
even
it?
when it's
That is the
should be good
motif
news to Dean.
of the
But yeah.
show. That is the motif. And
And
like
yeah.
when you're I don't know there's the resentment that I feel that Dean has for Sam, no matter how much he loves him, it is going to be like that where it's like, don't do that, and so he stops and he's like, oh my God, why aren't you doing that? It's like,
Right.
because everything he does is going to be upsetting to him because Dean has a deeply rooted resentment that on the top of his brain he doesn't even really realize, but in the core of him where he loves him, like he can't let him go. And so it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I
It's
agree.
complicated.
I
Yeah.
agree with you. And I think it's just going to extrapolate into a much larger. I mean, that's why things are the way they are, what, 5 seasons from now. They're
Yeah.
just every single episode is Sam being a punching bag of sorts. And huge, like full arcs in an entire season will hinge on Dean changing the goalposts. And so I think it's actually really impressive considering the evolution of their relationship across the years in the series, because right now it makes sense. It's small and it does grow to become what I believe is actually a believable dynamic if those things are never dealt
Yes.
with. They become
Yeah.
what it is later on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and I
I
think
will always
even
maintain
later.
that the way their dynamic ends up is
Yeah.
perfectly in the character.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
there are other ways the show could have taken it, but that's not the story the show was telling.
Right.
Yeah.
Dean and it's completely and utterly in character and believable to me that their
Yeah.
dynamic heads that
Yeah, isn't
direction.
there I'm trying to think what season this is, but I think in a later season there even is like a discussion of I want things to go back to the way they were or something, or things will never get back to the way they were if we don't blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And like Sam's like, well, I don't want them to.
Right.
That's
Oh, yeah, I
that's how we
remember.
got to where we are now. I don't want them to go
Hmm.
back to the way that they were because
Hmm.
the way that they were wasn't working. Like
Hmm. They were
I
working for Dean.
right, right. But he makes a good point that it's because they just keep going in this one way that just keeps causing problems. Can I talk just a smidget about another element of like how the show does a little bit of humor followed by something like intensely sad?
Yeah.
Of
Um,
course.
the license
No, you
plate
can't.
on the crashed car on the edge of town says WTF.
Yes, I made a note too. I made a note of that as well.
But there's a car seat in the back of that
It's
car.
awful. It's so awful.
It's facing backwards, so it's a young
A
baby.
baby
A young baby, and the car is filled with blood.
covered in blood.
And so, like, I wrote, maybe
Ooh.
the baby wasn't in the car when it crashed,
Maybe the
or
baby was the demon and
maybe the
he's
baby
okay.
and the baby's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all know it's not. But it's just, WTF car followed by like
You're like, haha, oh.
soul crushing. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. It told a story and I didn't like it.
I told a story in 30
It
seconds
was very
or
upsetting.
less. And I was just
Yeah.
like, stop telling the stories thing that I watched for stories.
When they decide that it's a demon virus, I wrote, God, this is just what I need to watch right after being knocked on my ass for a week from contracting a stomach virus. I was
Oh
like,
no.
like,
But I do love that mix of like supernatural stuff with like biology,
me
like
too.
the
Love it.
encasing the blood cells with sulfur, like tiny scale
That is
possession. I just
so
love that
cool.
stuff.
The
I love
fact
so
that
that
they
cool.
so much.
never did anything else with this. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about that at the end, but
Yes.
it's so frustrating to me because it's such a good idea.
Demonic
Yeah.
germ warfare. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's such
mean-
a wasted opportunity as there are so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still loved it though.
I wrote the Impala is so pretty. Like, I guess we just don't talk about it enough because I think I always think of it in terms of like it's Dean's car, and sometimes I have a resentment of the Impala because of how much Dean always is like very tender and loving with it, and then he goes around hitting Sam for fun. And so I don't want to say never, but like I often am just like, ugh. But I was watching the Impala in this episode and I was like, it's so pretty. It really
It
is.
is a really pretty car.
Yeah, I feel the most like tenderness towards the Impala when I think about it as the only home that Sam has ever known.
Yeah.
And that's like a kind of very melancholy tenderness because it's like it's both, that's both something that is like sentimental, but it also like I always think about the number of times that it probably felt like a tomb.
Yes.
When I
Yeah.
think
Like
about it,
someone who I've a mutuals with, I think their literal tag for like the Impala is funeral boat. And every time I see it, I'm like, that is so evocative. Like, yeah, I
Oh
think I literally said
no.
it with us.
oh,
Yeah.
I hate that.
No, but it's so
You
no,
should
it's so
see our
good though.
faces right now.
Oh.
Oh
Like, it's so
no.
perfect. Like every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Here's the
it is.
times that I love the Impala the most are when I picture young Sam curled up in the back seat sleeping.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Pretty.
that's the most comfortable bed for him until his legs
Until he's too
grow
big.
way too well,
Yeah.
and then he probably just curls up. I mean, we've seen this guy fold up into like 2 cubic feet of
I
space.
do
He's
as much as I'm not the biggest fan of the episode Baby for multiple reasons. I do love that scene that where they have Sam and Dean curled up and they're like yin and yanging, like Dean in the front seat and Sam in the back, and yeah,
yeah.
like that scene does
Yeah.
get me.
I mean, I used to sleep in the back seat of a car, just like driving, not like
Yeah.
We were driving
houseless,
asleep. Oh.
unhomed. I mean, like as a kid, like your idea of you like fall asleep, but you're watching the night sky through the back window, and your parents are in the front
Mm.
seat, maybe singing, the radio's on.
Mm.
And, in my case, I had a little brother, so we were usually like sleeping on each other's shoulders
Aw.
or, and it's just that kind of,
It's the safety you don't really get to feel as
yeah,
an adult.
Yeah.
yeah. And also there were no seatbelt laws, so it was very
Yeah.
comfortable. You didn't have a seatbelt digging into your waist.
You're like, we could have died, but we
Now,
were
we could have died,
snoozing.
but we snoozed soundly. But yeah, anyway, that's just a side on the
I
Impala.
like that. Well, I brought it up, so I'm glad you had a story for us about it. Should we talk
I,
about the demon's name, like Croatoan as a
oh,
demon's name, like theory?
Go for it. I have no theories about this. I do not know anything about
Well,
a
it's not
demon
my
named
theory,
Croatoan.
unfortunately. It is John's theory. And I thought it was really
Oh, I must have missed it.
interesting. Yeah, no, Sam was like, well, I think Dad had this like theory that Croatoan might have been the name of a demon, and that's kind of how they make the connection that it's a demon
Mm.
virus. And I said I hate to be interested in John's theories, but alas, it's pretty interesting. I thought that was but I want to know, how did he come up with it? Was it just like
Yeah,
did they come across
that's
Croatoan? Or was he just
is
studying
there a
history and he was like, maybe
yeah,
this is what happened? Or did they actually did John come across this in the past? I wonder.
in real history, is there a demon with a name similar to the word
He
Croatoan?
actually, Sam does mention a Croatoan, and then he mentions a second demon's name that is like connected. So I wonder
he
if
says
this is just
two other
Is
ones
that
that
but
he thinks.
is that
but that's what I mean.
supernatural
Yeah. I was gonna
lore
say,
or is
is
it
it
real life
H.H.
lore?
Holming the Croatoan, or is it an actual like is it actual
I'm fairly
lore?
certain this is supernatural making its own lore. Yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah,
Okay.
I
after
like
the
it.
H.H. Holmes thing, I was like, well, they could be making anything up, but it was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah,
Everything
I
I'm
like
finding
it.
is like, oh, what's a Croatoan demon? Ooh, okay, I'll click on that. Oh, it's from the
Ooh.
Supernatural Wiki.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah.
What is Croatoan in the Bible? Nope. Also, Supernatural Wiki.
Yeah.
There you
Oh
go.
my gosh.
Nope.
All
Nope.
right.
Nope.
No,
Yeah.
I do love when they tie like real world mythology into stuff, but I guess if anybody knows anything different, I would love to hear it, but
Yeah.
um I would love to know if there's a real, like, I'll even take a similar sounding name.
Yeah. Croatia. I
Um,
don't know.
I
Croatia,
was gonna
the demon Croatia, sure.
That's where he's from.
I was gonna say, just building off what Elle said earlier about how like the tension of the episode is ratcheted up like really quickly in terms of them arriving and then the phones being cut off and this idea that it's like yeah, that
Being
there's going to be this
isolated.
massacre taking place.
Hmm.
The fact that like by what maybe a third of the way into the episode, we're essentially into a bottle episode because they arrive at the doctor's surgery, and once Dean gets back from it, then basically the entire rest of the episode takes place there, and
Hmm.
that again is so effective for ratcheting up the tension
Yeah.
because like it has that kind of like almost like if you think about like a hostage episode of something. Like X-Files has a couple of like hostage
Hmm.
situation episodes,
Well,
and
it
like it
is like
has
that. He
similar.
tries to
Yeah,
leave and he's like threatened and he has to stay because they're blocked. So they are being held.
yeah.
So you're
Yeah,
right.
And I
yeah.
actually think that Supernatural could have stood to do a few more like kind of bottle episodes like that. Like because it's such
Hmm.
an effective like horror or like tension ratcheting kind of
And on top of that, it's a bottle episode, and sort of like right at the moment, I think, if I'm reading my notes correctly, at the moment that
Mhm.
you're talking about, Vic, where it really becomes like you're not leaving, they also make this realization that this could be a lot bigger than this town, that this town is just
Yes.
what they're finding out about now because there was no inkling of this beforehand. How many more towns are poised to have this same thing happen? So
Yeah,
it's
they
like
they they
Hmm.
mentioned wanting to reach out to
culmination.
Ellen, I think, and let her know what was going on so they could spread the word, and they couldn't reach her because
They
the
couldn't
phones
reach
were off.
anybody, and they're
Hmm.
just like, okay, uh, not only are we stuck here, but this could be happening in other places and we would have no idea because
Hmm.
there have been no
Yes.
warning
Yeah.
signs. Like it's simultaneously so much bigger and yet confined to so much smaller a space
Yes,
Yeah.
than we
exactly.
started out with. It's
Yeah,
it's
and it
it's
so it
tension
kind of has to
times two.
fit all of that into that small like physically restricted
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. I really do think they could have done more episodes like this because as I said it's so suited to the genre in terms of creating these really like tense episodes.
Yeah.
Um I think you know the episode where in season 11 where Sam has to try and cure the the darknesses um
No.
like it's kind of like a rage virus thing
I
that
saw
infects
the
people.
like the Sunny episode. I don't think I saw
Okay,
that one.
right.
Is this
Well,
the one where
there's
he like burns it
it's
out
like
of his
yes, yeah. It's like the first like second episode of the season 11, and there's this
Oh.
basically like this kind of rage virus thing that Amara has brought the darkness,
he
and
burnt
it's like
he
infected people in the hospital.
Okay,
And
I
I
do
get that
remember that.
by this
Shocking.
point in time, they really just don't do storytelling they where they have like a singular focus anymore. Like it's
Mhm.
always like we have to go to the B plot or the because
Mhm.
that's just how it's moved on. And also Supernatural, I don't think would ever have given us a completely Sam-centric episode. But can you imagine how like good and tense that episode could have been if it
Mhm.
had been a bottle episode of just entirely Sam,
Oh my
like
God.
having to do that without us ever seeing like what was going on? Because every time they flick to like Dean scenes where it's him and the baby who's Samara, like the tension just drops out of the
Yeah.
episode for me, and
It
it's
just
a
deflates
yeah.
entirely.
And I just thinking about like if it was in a more Croatoan style, like that
I
could
mean,
have
of
been such
course,
a
we would love a bottle episode
tense
that's
episode.
just about Sam.
Well, obviously.
Obviously. Every time during that episode, I was like, okay, but so what's Sam doing?
That's
That's all.
Yeah.
always my question. In
That's
the later
always my
seasons, I'm like,
question.
where's Sam? Where's
Okay,
Sam?
so what's Sam doing?
So
Um,
at
I
one point,
do.
Dean goes, or someone says, you can't shoot her like an animal. Like we're at the point now where like Sam wants to figure out a cure before they kill this mother who has
Mhm.
proven to be infected. And it's like so awful. And I think that it was making me so anxious when I was watching it the first time. And as you guys know, I do not remember what the hell is going to happen. So I was like, I know I've seen this and it's going to be okay. But like, I don't remember what's going to happen. And at one point when I think Sam was like, you can't, oh, it was the nurse. She goes, you can't shoot her like an animal. And Dean like picks up the rifle and moves. And I'm like, I was like, challenge accepted? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, he just pulls his gun without a
Speak
word
for
and starts
yourself.
walking
Like,
forward. Like,
what are we doing?
I know it's supposed to be a contrast between him and Sam, who hesitated, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
and Dean, who does what needs to be done or whatever. But like, I wrote, can
But
we have
that's
a
what
of
he
concern? Like,
well, and that's what he decides needs to be done. Like he
yeah,
code
yeah,
switches in his mind. It goes from human to switch monster, and then there's
yep.
no in between.
I
And
mean,
it's like, what does it hurt to be sure? Like, just
It gives
lock her in
me
the room.
and in
the
fairness,
lack of
we are
hesitation.
supposed to be concerned about this, like
Yes,
because Sam specifically draws attention to it that Dean is
Mhm.
not. He
especially
used to think
after
about it.
bloodlust. Yeah,
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, that
like
was very
and that's
after
what I
upsetting.
mean. Like
bloodlust. Yeah.
that's what I mean. Coming back to what I pointed out about the way the previously on section is constructed, like it's very much designed to draw your attention to Dean is not okay. He is coping poorly, and that is making him become rash and violent.
Yeah, I mean,
So
he
yeah.
says it has to be hard, Dean. That's the point. But Dean has never
Hmm.
wanted that to be true. And but it
Yeah.
has to be
Mhm.
true for them to know they're doing the right thing. And
Right.
so like Sam tells Dean he's like that Dean is acting like the monster. And so Dean throws him across the room and locks him in a room.
Yep.
And is that not a monstrous behavior? And then we just never deal with the fact that he locked a perfectly normal person, Sam, doing literally nothing supernatural, nothing wrong, in a room so that he could go possibly murder someone that they're not even sure.
I like to
Dean
think
Tinker.
it's.
locking Sam in rooms. He'd never do such a thing.
I'd like to believe it's because he knows that if Sam wanted to, he could just take him down and
But we
stop
know
him.
that isn't true. But yes, I do like that idea too.
I like that
But
idea.
like it's very much just like, well, I don't like what you have to say, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
lock you in here. The thing about it too is he knows Sam would never. And so when he locks him in there, it's because he's a
It's
nuisance,
a show
not because
of
he's a threat.
power. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, so I do. As a side note, I appreciate how they look to the doctor for the usual TV show. Can you cure this mystery illness thing? And she's just like, "What? No, no, Jesus, what?
He's like,
What
what
are you
even
talking about?
is
I've never
this?
even
Like,
seen this before."
yeah.
And I also appreciate that Dean does he does end up doing the make sure she's one of them, and he does trust Sam about it in the end. It
Well,
looks
it
like
comes down to him he literally cocks
yes,
the gun and is about to shoot the
yeah,
other guy.
it's not I wrote, I'm not trying to ride Dean's ass here. It's just he seems to buy into the whole no hesitation, kill what needs to be killed thing so hard. It feels like manliness for manliness sake, and I'm not sure how I want him to be, but I think I prefer Sam in the scene grimacing as he's confirming that she's infected and upset that he has to condemn her, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So,
it's just toxic masculinity where like if it's like this brutishness where it's
mhm.
just brutality, where it's like, well, I should get to just like kill people at my discretion because I know because of my instincts and my like my history as a hunter or whatever. And it's like, but it
Right.
can't be that way. And
And you
like,
can't just people can't just trust you that you know what you're doing, that you're never
yeah,
going to make a mistake.
right. Like what a hypocrite. That's where I wrote hypocrite in all caps because it's like, well, Dean has to put his money where his mouth is. And he
Hmm.
can't deal with the shoe on the other foot when Sam actually becomes infected. And no one should have to because it should be a situation where we try to see if there's a way that there is an alternative outcome other than straight up execution.
Hmm. By the way, I like your blanket.
Did you get it on TikTok?
I got it from my mom
My
for
mom got me
Christmas.
mine too for Christmas.
My mom got me mine from Temu.
Oh, I think my mom got mine from TikTok because that's what I put on my gift like list. And it's lavender
I
and it's
mean,
queen size. It's huge.
Oh, mine's
I mean,
tiny.
probably if it's from Temu or if it's from TikTok, it will have come from the same drop shipping warehouse. Like
So there's
Potentially.
probably lead in both.
Great. We will go crazy together.
Yay. Okay. So, um, another note I made was that Sam is in this nice little denim pearl snap under like a pretty staged green jacket. It's pleasant amongst all of the trauma that we're dealing
It
with.
is. That is a very true statement.
So now Sam is infected, and Dean has to deal with the fact that he just did a whole lot of posturing about his position on what happens when someone's infected. And
Yes.
everyone is like, okay, dude, shoot your brother, you fucking asshole. Because, and my favorite part is that little like blonde kid is like, you're about to shoot me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
I wrote the nerve of this dude that Dean didn't shoot, saying Sam needs to die.
it's so funny though, because it's like, yeah, I don't want Sam to die, but like Dean literally had a gun to this poor kid's head. And he's like, hello, hello.
I know, but he did wait,
Well, yes, but
technically.
you know
I mean,
that you don't know, hopefully, but you can imagine the trauma of having a gun to your head with a man like Dean on the other end, literally about to shoot you. Like,
yes,
he's probably
yes.
very mad. And I don't think he even wants Sam to die. I think he's just pissed.
Can I just say though, when Sam gets infected and he's laying on the floor and he's got his hand on his chest and he's reaching out for Dean, I'm just like,
I know.
Oh, I know.
And then he
Sammy,
realizes
Bobby.
like, oh shit, they can't help me up because like I'm probably infected.
Yeah. And he
And
says, you're right. But then Dean is like, make a move on him and you'll be dead before you hit the ground. And I'm just like,
it changes so quickly.
It changes so quickly, but also like the sentimental
Brothers.
part of me, I'm just like,
Well, and that's what when I get annoyed because I'm like, okay, Dean, every single person you've murdered in this episode, because he killed two parents and a little and like a brother. Every single one of those people had people in their life who love them as much as you love Sam. And so I always think it's so wild, oh look, he loves him so much. Like, yeah, every single person that they kill has a family. And
yeah,
so it's one of those things where like I get why the blonde kid is like, hello. Like it's so frustrating. And like obviously I don't want Sam to die and I don't want Dean to kill Sam. It makes me Dean makes me mad.
yeah,
He makes me so
yeah.
mad. So Sam of course goes, give me the gun, I'll do it myself, which we're all like, nope, nope, nope. And then Sam's like, you can keep going. And he goes, who says I want to? And it's just two suicidal brothers.
Yeah, I did put these boys need therapy so bad. God
So
bless.
bad.
Oh my God.
We didn't talk about it, Audrey, but this is, yes, another reason Lustra got made the way it did.
This moment.
Because they need therapy.
So much psychological care, yes.
I do think, I mean, another one of the things, if we're just talking about brother bond stuff, the fact that Dean gives Sarge the keys to the car and is like, leave, I don't care.
Yeah, he's
This
fully
car, I'm staying
done.
here. He's ride or die with Sam
Mhm.
at that moment.
Well, and at that point, they have no reason to believe there's any other way out except for
Yes.
Sam to become
A monster
demon monster or whatever they are.
And either kill Dean or Dean kills Sam and then kills himself. Is
100%.
That's what they're I he's
Two suicidal brothers.
So in the middle of all of this drama, I wrote, she still thought they were marshals, like brother marshals, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that is commitment to your partner, isn't it? I mean, I do love Dean's "we're not really marshals" line. Like Dean, honey, there was zero reason to tell her that, but God bless.
Right.
Like,
and she's just like, oh, okay. But yeah, and of course Sam is pissed that Dean stays behind, and then he says, "Who says I want to?" And that's,
Nope, nope, nope.
we got in the first season, we got, I'm afraid of the things that I would do to protect you. From Dean. But this is like beyond, this is like existence for me doesn't go on if you're not in it kind of thing, which
it feels too like there's a bit of relief behind that because it's like, look, all I have to do is die. Like to him, I feel like that's like, especially where he's at mentally with his father passing away and how he's been blaming himself. Like it does feel kind of like, all right, if this is how it's got to go down, here we are. I can face
and
this.
John's last order to him, he doesn't have to do it. Or maybe he thinks, I just considered that
maybe he thinks this is the moment.
This could be the moment.
Yeah.
That he has to kill Sam.
I do think that's what he's thinking, yeah, because
I
it,
never
it
even
has come down to a
considered that.
because this
Yeah.
is literally a save him or kill him situation, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then he
that's got to
doesn't
be what
have to
goes
make
through.
the choice because the choice
Right.
has already been made because they know how the
I
disease works,
I
or they
think
Hmm.
think they
that's the
do.
reason why Dean does then admit to what John said immediately after this, because
Yes.
this is what like really
This
makes
was
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he thought that this was going to be it, and then it wasn't. But it's kind of brought it so close to the surface that you just can't
He
keep
can't
that
keep it
hidden
in.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But when Sam hears Dean say what what he says, he listens to him and he tries to get him to pick back up and keep moving.
Hmm.
Like this is what dad would want. And
Hmm.
then but it's not a but it's not about dad at this point for Dean.
Hmm.
And of course, before they get into any of that really good talk, the doc comes back to
But
say the
also,
town's empty. And
dad
so
dad told him what he wanted him to do.
yeah,
And so in a way, it like Sam doesn't know, but like
yeah. But yeah, so they love to interrupt these brother talks.
don't
Um,
get too emotional over here.
over here.
Yeah.
I guess Sam is allowed to come out of the room now because
It's in
it hasn't been
five
long enough
hours.
time for him to turn or
Hmm.
something.
Everyone's disappeared. And then she says, it's been 5 hours. Your blood is still clean. And then I go, oh, he's immune because of the demon blood. I am dumb.
Mhm.
Like,
And she's
I didn't remember that.
she's like, well, okay, I guess they stayed because the town was empty and they weren't in danger, but I wouldn't. I would be like, okay, town's empty. It's really weird. I'm still leaving though. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
And you
especially if there's no
bye.
like phone lines or anything. Like,
There's
it's
no phone. There's
dangerous.
no people. Like, what are you gonna do? Set your business back up and hope people move back to this weird town? Like,
Yeah.
no, I would not be
Yeah.
staying. I'd bug out. I'd go to my sister's house or like I would
Yeah,
be
I would.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not getting
But
here.
I mean, Audrey,
So
you saying like, oh, it was because of the demon blood, right? But do
Mhm.
you remember how you felt like the first time you watched this episode? Because we didn't know about the demon blood yet. Like, it's so much more of a bigger thing,
Ooh,
right? When
Yeah.
you don't even know that that's why.
It's such a good season.
it's
It's
so
such
Yeah.
a good season.
mysterious. Right. Because Sam isn't infected anymore. And the samples of blood are also
Oop.
not infected anymore.
Yep.
It's gone. And I wrote, this doc seems incredibly even keeled for someone whose entire town of friends and family just disappeared.
Yeah. And they had to kill like the nurse at one point, like her friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Her friend
Yeah.
who was infected.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
She
was
she
infected.
jumped on.
Yeah,
So
I had a question about that because everyone else seemed to just like turn evil. And she like kept her head long enough to be like, because we saw when she got infected
I
earlier
guess
in
she
the
was like
episode.
playing the long game because she wanted specifically
Yeah.
to infect Sam.
Yeah, but how would she know that unless she was actually in on I thought she was just a townsperson.
Well, because
Like the
the
one
blonde
dude,
guy was
he was a demon.
he was a demon. So maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for your molecules to be covered in sulfur, like you can be controlled by a demon. I don't know. There's a
I
lot.
don't know. It could have
But
been, you know.
I think, yeah, I definitely think if the doctor was supposed to have been suspect, we would have been shown that at the end. So I don't think she
yeah.
was, but like
No, I don't
I
think
get
she
it.
was,
Like,
but I
Mhm.
just don't understand why the nurse was, yeah,
oh, okay.
But the
yeah, the
mom did the
nurse.
same thing. Like the mom acted like she wasn't infected for a long time. I think it's like a
Yeah.
survival thing. It's like, don't kill me because I want to keep like infecting
Infecting
people.
people.
And so she didn't
Mhm.
act like she was infected until they knew she was infected. And then she knew she
Yeah,
couldn't
I did also
hide.
wonder if, like
Mm.
you said, like maybe it's not so much that it just makes you an uncontrollable rage machine, and more that it just allows you to be directly
Sinister.
controlled or manipulated. Maybe,
Yeah. You're just
and maybe
demonic.
maybe the yeah, but maybe the demon is able to like I don't know, like implant something
I would
into you to be like
love,
now.
Mhm.
what if it temporarily tamps down your soul?
Yeah.
And then you
Because
have like a demon soul instead, like the demon instincts of the sinisterness of a demon.
Well, I was wondering if it essentially is allowing the Croatoan demon to kind of like semi-possess people.
True, if that is what it
Like
is, it's the
it's not like
demon
a full
name.
it's not like a
I
full
really want to know
possession.
more about what they were thinking with
You know
this
what?
whole
I
thing.
think they weren't thinking a lot as much as we are.
Like
Like,
I'm thinking like
we're
there's a
overthinking it.
big specific kind of demon. Like he's his own tier of demon, the Croatoan demon, and he's able to like possess multiple people at once with this like
In a cellular,
in a
like,
he's
right
an
down into their
infectious
cells.
demon,
Mhm.
and that's where the sulfur comes from, but that he doesn't
Mhm.
actually venture out and do things on his own. He's like a whole different kind of demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well
I'd
this
love
is
to
all
know
just
whether or not Yeah, I mean I'd love to know whether or not the virus is essentially just like is it just his blood? Like is it working
oh,
in a similar way to
Mm.
Azazel? And like maybe the reason why Sam is immune is because like he already
he's already
has he's
ooh.
already got like I don't know demon blood antibodies or something, but like
Yeah.
Yeah,
as a or
he's been
like or
inoculated.
He
yeah,
has.
Thanks,
or like
Azazel. Thanks.
Azazel's blood like and this demon's blood like they work in different ways so like one can affect Sam and the other doesn't, you know, like I don't know, there's interesting ways you could go with it, I think.
That is so interesting.
100%. Well, they
Mhm. Of
had to kill that cool like black character, of course. So the
course.
Oh, of course.
so the shit stained blonde ass demon could make a call with his blood.
Oh,
I make
I
so
hate that.
mad.
I
And
hate
then
that.
they
He doesn't even do it
basically
in a pretty way the way Meg did. He
yeah, Meg
like
was all like witchy and
grabs the
cool.
blood and is like, "Bleh."
Yeah.
Loser. But
I
then
do have to
like
say I hated when they got rid of the need for the like the silly chalice to do the
I
call in.
know.
There was something about it that was so iconic. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because
it's
she was actually
so
doing witchcraft and he
rock.
was just like bleh.
Bleh,
Yeah.
bleh, bleh,
um
bleh.
but the Croatoan was just being a test to see if Sam's blood has like done what the demons wanted it to do when they gave him the blood when he was a baby. Like the death of all these people is because of Sam.
Well, I
And not
the
knowing,
way
like
they I hate
Sam not
that.
knowing that like that's happening, like I'm glad, but like if he were to know all of that was because of him, like it would just be more guilt on top of that.
The, I have to say the way they talked about it, I did get the impression that it was also a test of it as a weapon. I don't think it was exclusively about testing Sam's immunity. It was kind of like it works and Sam is also
I
immune.
kind of thought it
Because
was
I
like,
think the idea would have been, I think, if they hadn't completely abandoned this plot, I think the idea was supposed to be that the Croatoan virus would be unleashed and that the only people who would be unaffected would be the special children.
oh,
They should do that. I mean, it sounds like a really good
Yeah,
plan.
like
that sounds
I
like a
think
good
that was the
plot. Why
idea.
wouldn't they do that? Well, or I was also before you reminded me that special children exist. I'm such a good fan, you guys. Um, I was thinking maybe like the future intention would be that Sam would impart his blood onto his armies and
Yeah.
that they would then also become
The Boy
immune,
King.
like a boy king thing.
The Boy King and his army. I'm obsessed with that. I really love like fics and fan art of the idea that
Of the
Sam is
boy
like,
king.
all right, I'm down. You know, like if he were to actually have like just been like, cool, I am the Boy King. And I love the idea that yeah, he could have just used his blood to like create
Yeah,
an army.
I like the
I love
idea
the
that he becomes a boy king and then he's just like, okay, cool. Well, I'm shutting down hell. Everyone's on salads.
yeah,
We
exactly.
have yoga
I have to
every
say,
day at 2 o'clock in the
And we're gonna eat
afternoon.
organic apples.
yeah, I have
I'm the
always loved the
king, god
idea
damn it.
of
You
him
know?
being a boy king at 23. Like, I know we're
He's a
like, oh, he's a
baby.
tiny baby, but on the other hand, he's also 23. Like, this
Well,
man is
considering
fully an
how
adult.
old demons are, though, it is
I
very
suppose so.
young. It is very young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
a
mean,
boy.
Considering how old I am, he seems like a boy, frankly. I
yeah.
can't think of a 23-year-old as anything but
You're a
like just
child.
Oh,
a
I
But if
know,
very
you're
young
like a
yeah.
person.
1,000-year-old demon, he is a boy.
He is a boy.
Yeah.
Or
There
as
is,
Kaz says, boy,
Boy.
yes.
boy.
We can't
there
do
is a scene
Cass's
in,
voice.
No, fortunately.
That'll be fun when we're reading Luster and we're trying to do Misha's voice.
Good luck to
Oh
us.
no, God. We apologize in advance.
I was just gonna say that there is a scene in season 14 where Sam literally does like declare to a whole load of demons that there will be no new king of hell. And they literally are just like, okay, cool.
Cool, we'll listen to you. You were
And
gonna
it's
be the
like,
boy king.
is he the king? Is Sam now the king of
is he
hell?
the boy
Like,
king? Because I heard about that a few
I
years
remember
ago.
the discourse beginning and being like,
yeah,
wait, should I start watching again? Did he become the king of hell? And people were
No,
like, no, but it was a fun thought for 1 second, for one
yeah,
line.
exactly. It's a bit like the episode with Magda, where it's like, oh, we were all clowning ourselves for like a whole episode that maybe
uh,
they would remember about Sam's psychic powers, and they did. They like said, oh, I used to have psychic powers, and then they forgot again.
and then they
That
forgot.
makes me so mad. Okay, so let's talk
Okay,
about this pleasant autumnal scene where they're having beers, knowing that the
I
I
worst
did say
information ever is going to come
it's a
forward.
but
beautiful
I
shot.
do, yes, I love this moment. It's just two boys relaxing against a fence, and
And
the
the
birds are
music is so
singing, the
And Sam
breeze, the
is
yeah.
wearing the
sun.
horrific faded pink patterned blouse thing that I hate.
Oh yeah, I wrote also, I think this is the shirt Audrey hates, the
I
inside
Yeah,
out
inside
sun
out shirt.
faded
hate
one.
it. It's got like the
Yes.
paisley. I don't understand it.
I really like this shirt.
That's how you knew it was a bad omen. Something bad was coming.
But yeah, I mean, these quiet moments were key to like season one tone.
Yeah.
And so we're hearkening back to those moments
Yeah.
before the shit.
And Sam
And
is like, "What's wrong?" Like he can tell something's going on. He's like, "Whatever you're carrying, let me help." And I was like, "Oh my God, like Samwise Gamgee asked
I
Sam."
know.
Like very sweet.
And so
I think Dean even says like, "Why can't we live for a little bit? Let's go to the Grand Canyon. Like we never do anything
the
that's just
famous
fun."
Grand Canyon plot hole.
Yes, yes. I was going to say I've never been to the Grand Canyon. Season
Well,
8
he did write a
episode, The
farty
Great Escape, it
donkey,
disagrees.
so
He did.
he wrote a farty donkey. I mean, maybe he
In
blocked it
fairness,
out.
in that episode, Dean says he barely remembers it, so I think it's possible that
I
Yeah,
don't know what
we
you're
could
talking about. I don't
we could
remember.
massage it.
you've blocked it out too.
What was it season 8 you said? They said that they had gone to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
The Great
Sam is like
Escapist,
delirious, and they're looking
the
for
I'm not
Metatron.
clean speech episode.
Oh
Yes,
no.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I blocked
when
it out because
He
it
like
hurts my
yeah,
falls back, collapses backwards on a bed, and he's giggling.
it's very cute, but also
Oh,
like
It's cute and so traumatic.
very
yeah.
upsetting. Yeah, okay.
Very
I know.
upsetting.
I know.
Yeah, because he
I'm
he starts remembering all these little like tiny details from his childhood, and then suddenly the thing that he remembers is looking at the comic and having the thought about being unclean, and
Being
then it's
that
like,
he could never be a hero like
he could
that.
never go on
Yeah,
a
I
quest
know
like
what
that.
you're talking about. Okay, let's
Okay, you can stop talking about it. I'm crying. Yeah,
Okay.
but Dean wants to get out. He wants to he suggests like let's just stop this. Let's just be happy for a while. And you can like see when he does get to the confession that Dad told me something about you, you can see Sam's heart just like drop into his
It's his
stomach.
worst nightmare. Like, and it's something you
Yeah.
can tell he's always wondered too.
Yeah.
Because I think he knows that Dad said something to Dean and that Dean was keeping it from him. And he didn't want it to be true. And he's like, what did he say? And then it
Yeah.
ends, and we're all like, ah! Like, and that's why I started Hunted immediately, even though usually I try not to like bleed into the next episode.
Oh my God, I forgot Hunted was next. I love Hunted.
Yeah.
Am I on the schedule for Hunted?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
We can start as soon as you want to, too, now that we got this out of the way.
Okay. Well, I have to go to Disney World first, and then
Yeah, of course. Of course. Okay, guys, last thoughts, and then we can rate this one.
I skipped a whole bunch of stuff because we just passed over it.
Okay.
Well, I would sum up my final thoughts in the words of Dean. Why here? Why now? Why did everyone just go? Excellent questions. If only we ever got an answer. Like it's such an excellent episode, and it's so frustrating because
Yeah, the
it
third
is-
act just unwinds. It just like completely unravels.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it unravels. It's just that it was clearly setting something up that they then never did anything with, which is just in retrospect disappointing. Like I remember finishing Croatoan for the first time and being so like, oh, the stakes have just been like raised. Like this is so like it's so exciting the way that
Yeah.
that is like adding this threat into the world,
When
and
you
then it just
think they're going to use it
does it.
again, but we
Yeah,
know they won't.
exactly.
Um, okay, so this is the time where Sam suggests making some explosives.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, they have Molotov cocktails and everything.
Yeah. So did anybody watch Young MacGyver?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just they just made a pilot. And it did not get picked up.
Is
But
this Jared when he's little?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
Jared
Yeah,
is
clarify for the
very cute.
listeners who do not know.
Jared is Clay, which is MacGyver's nephew. He is also a pacifist, like MacGyver was. He quit school to follow in his uncle's footsteps, and he, like MacGyver, the original, the OG, he is really good at making stuff out of nothing. So the look that he gives on camera when he says we could make some explosives, and like he's looking at the pieces that were required for that,
Mm.
straight out of 2003 Young MacGyver. Like I swear to God, he learned that look for that pilot and is like, I'm using that here because this is I have to use that again somewhere. This is it. It is straight out of Young MacGyver, where the camera like watches him look away from Sarge and then do the glance that just happens to land on the materials he would need. And then oh, make it explosive. Like it's even the little head tilt when
You
he
can see
sees
the
him.
gears
Like,
turning.
yeah, he like does the little head tilt and he starts forming a plan. It's like very MacGyver.
Yeah.
And I I was just like, is this too niche to bring up for the podcast? And then I thought, no,
No.
Vic's on this podcast. I can
Well,
bring
and
up anything I want.
it's exactly the kind of things you got to talk about when you're in a fandom podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Sam's like little head tilts are always
I
so cute.
love his
I
little
would say
head
that
tilts. So good.
head tilts, I think, are kind of like a little bit of a signature, like Jared acting thing. Like he does them in a lot of things.
He
But what's
does.
so fascinating to me is that his head tilt is always different. Like if you look at like Solar Sam's head tilt and Sam's head tilt, and like even like Walker's head tilt, like they're all different to each other. Like
Can we
this is what
do
we
a chatty episode just about Jared's head tilts in
Yes,
different
please.
in different
That'll be on the Patreon, you guys.
And he also does the
Yes.
like little, he also does a squinty eye thing. That
Squinty
again, yeah, like Solar Sam squinty eye and like and regular Sam squinty eye, so different to each other.
Okay,
Oh.
if
Gabriel
we're
does it,
talking
and,
about
like, again,
these things, I can't believe we've gone this far without me talking about the forehead crinkle, because that is my favorite thing, and I have an entire tag about the forehead
yes, me
crinkle
too.
and
So-
the like best forehead crinkles. And my
Oh my
favorite thing
God.
about Solus was that he never had one. The whole time he was Solus, is he never crinkled his little face, and that showed that he did not
Unless-
have his like full.
Unless he was
I
actively
love that.
masking as Sam, like
Mhm.
as regular
He
Sam.
would go,
Yeah.
but then you
Mhm.
could tell he just went back smooth forehead.
Yeah, he was
exactly.
like,
Forehead.
I know that
Yeah,
I'm
he-
supposed to do this, but I don't know for how long or even why.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. You can feel the like wheels turning on it. Like that was one of the things he was so good at, was every time Solus was pretending to be regular Sam,
He would
it
go,
always felt uncanny. Like it has this
yes.
thing of where you can like
So
feel
good.
where he's
good at
having
that.
to think
So-
about it.
And when we do this episode, it has to be a video.
yeah, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. And
Because
I'll
we
make
have
sure I
to
don't
have
look like
clips.
a blob.
Yeah, same. I will attempt not to look like a thumb for a head kind of person.
Y'all never look like that, though. I do feel like I think we all are hardest on ourselves, but y'all are
I
always
think that's
adorable.
probably true.
I do
But yeah,
feel
that
better
has
now
to
I've got my
be-
ring light.
It's oh yeah, I've got mine for sure. But yeah, that has to be a video so that we can.
That'll be so
You don't-
fun.
You don't need one,
Yeah.
Audrey.
Well, I'm by the light. And I just have like my lashes are cocked two different directions. Like I look like a disaster, but it's fine.
I mean, if
Your
if we
lashes
sta-
are just doing their own head tilt. It's
They're
fine.
tilting, just like Jared's acting. Okay. Final thoughts, Elle? Are you done with your final thoughts? Are you ready to rate?
I think that except for we need more alcohol in answer to Sam's question. Like we need more alcohol for the bombs, but also we need
Just
more
in life.
alcohol before we can talk about this. Like what
Yes.
we needed to talk to him about. I love that.
That was a good one.
Those little bits of the writing are just
Yeah.
Very good. Anyway, those are MacGyver was my final thought. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad you brought it up. I forgot he was in that when he was a small, lanky teen.
I went through my watch everything Jared has ever been in phase, and I had to like find it on YouTube. Like
I
it was
love
not
that.
anywhere.
No,
well,
it's still not.
one of these days, and Christy suggested this to us because we just had Christmas, is that we'll have to do like a stream where on the Patreon where we all watch the Christmas Cottage together.
It's so bad, but it's so
It's my favorite.
He's
I'm
really
so
good in
earnest.
And
he's
just
so
to be clear,
sweet and in like
he's good
knitwear.
in it. It's the movie is bad.
Well,
It
and
is the best part of that movie.
Yes,
and
many such cases.
There are lots of cases where that's true. That's true.
Well, and I'm dating an artist, and like if I were to put a Thomas Kincaid movie on, he would leave me. So like we'll have to do it. He'd be like, "No, how could you?"
Listen, we are hate watching this.
Yes.
For a podcast.
Yeah, because it's super fun.
But also the knitwear.
Don't leave me, Corey.
The knitwear.
And the knitwear.
But just blame it on me. Just blame it on me.
Blame it on that. Okay. Let's do our wardrobe judgment for this one. So we've got horrendous, adorable, genuinely good, or terrible but great. Let's start with Elle. What did you think?
I wrote just fine.
That's fair.
Which is not adorable. In our scale.
It probably should be.
So I think the one that we've been using for just fine is just adorable.
Yeah.
Is that the one? That's just basic. Basic Sam is just adorable.
Basic Sam, yeah. Vic, what do you think?
I also went for adorable. I think it could have been. The problem is we don't really have anything that's like between adorable and we have I guess we have the like terrible but great, but I don't know that it really fits into that either. It would have been a higher level adorable if it wasn't for the appearance of the inside out paisley shirt at the end, which did knock it down a bit.
Cursed.
Adorable
minus. I think that the little denim snap shirt that he's wearing underneath the jacket, I'm certain that's the one that he wears in Playthings.
Yeah, it is.
Which I mean, that gets higher rated because in Playthings he's wearing it without the jacket over the top, and it's so good in Playthings. Like, chef's kiss.
It's a great shirt. Yeah,
yeah.
I gave it terrible but great because the pearl snaps you don't get to see, and so it's just kind of like a general like nothing. And then at the end, I am accosted by the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, I think I might hate it more than the rusty bacon. Yeah, I think I do hate it more than the rusty bacon.
Hang on. Everybody write this down.
It's okay. It's on tape.
But Audrey has the capacity to edit it out.
That's true. Oh,
I won't. I will be true to my journalistic integrity that I did say. Well, and the thing is, I even did like art, I think, where it was like I was just doing like bit art, like whenever we like 10 years ago on Tumblr, and it was like a joke and stuff. And like the rusty bacon shirt was a monster that was like attacking people. But this thing I think is even worse. Like, I really think that like I just can't understand why it exists.
It's just so strange. I love it in that way that I love everything that Sam wears because it's on Sam's body and he's cute and it's part of his charm that his dress sense is terrible. But it is a very confusing shirt.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, he's also like very long. Yes. So maybe it's one of the only shirts that would fit. I mean, he's always rolling up the sleeves anyway, so
yeah, which is how we know it's inside out for some reason. Okay.
It's inside out, but the seams are all proper. So
it doesn't make any sense. Okay. So our Sam Girl friendly scale is, I'm not trying to rush you, but I am kind of trying to rush you because I'm not trying to like have a, that's why we needed to do Croatoan alone because I knew we'd have, see, we're running out of time. Okay. We're going to finish. We got it. So we've got screen time, enjoyment, hard eyes, and all on a scale of 5. So we'll start with Elle. What did you say for screen time?
For screen time, I wrote a lot and good screen time, meaningful and important. So I'm going to give it a 4.7.
Love it. Let's hear from Vic. What did you give it for screen time?
I've just realized it has been a long while since we did this because I rated them out of 10. So let me just like calculate this.
Just divide it in half.
Yeah. Okay. So that is okay. Right. So I gave this a 4.6.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought it's the screen time, as you said. There's a reasonable amount of it. It is good and it is meaningful, but I do think that ultimately there's a little bit more of a Dean slant in this episode because it's a little bit more about Dean's struggle than it is about Sam's.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I could see
so
that.
I knocked it down a tiny bit, but I do love this episode. And yeah, the scene
Yeah,
where he thinks he's gonna die is just
it's so
so
good.
heart-wrenching.
I gave it a 4.8, which averages our screen time together 4.7. Way to go.
Sounds good.
Okay, so for enjoyment, how much is uh did we enjoy it as Sam fans? Let's start with Elle. What did you think?
I wrote, yes, good. Crying Sam, clever Sam, hurt Sam. I'm gonna give it a 4.9
Dang.
for how good, because, he's like laying on the floor, reaching out for his brother. He's like pounds on the table, like, you don't have to, you should just go and leave me behind. And I've
Yeah.
just, everything is just super good.
Mm-hmm.
He is just like grade A Sam in this episode. And that makes me very
Grade A.
happy.
Yes.
Like 100% Sam.
Vic, what did you say for enjoyment?
I gave it a 4.8, so very close. It's pretty much the same reasons. There's good like emotional stuff with him. They mess with him a bit. They make my boy sad, which unfortunately makes me happy. Um, and he's kind of like the moral heart of the episode, and I always
Yes.
enjoy that
Yes.
when Sam gets to be that. So
I give it a 4.6. I think like I enjoy screen time. This is another one of those moments where we're doing Sam taxes and we're just moving numbers to different
yeah.
columns, but like I enjoy like the screen time I felt was really good because it like was a lot about the brothers and their worldviews and they were arguing, so it hurt my feelings, which is why I got a lower enjoyment, but the screen time was like juicy. So I gave it a 4.6, which averages out for us to have like a 4.76 for
Sounds about right.
enjoyment. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Hard eyes. This is our last one. Elle, how big were your hard eyes for
My
this
hard
episode?
eyes were pretty big for this one. We got gentle Sam,
Yeah.
protecting Sam, defending Sam. Um, just
You protect, he attack.
He
he
attack,
that's
he
right.
protect.
He defend. Yeah, he gently put his hand on her back and like all the he was, just more of everything I love about Sam. So I give it a 4.8.
Oh yeah. And Vic.
Yeah, so this is me doing the Sam taxes because I give this one the 4.9. So yeah, me and Elle's enjoyment and heart
Ooh.
eyes basically switched. Yeah, pretty much all the same reasons. There's just a lot of Sam being soft. Yeah, with his little like rubbing her shoulder and being like, it's okay, and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And yeah, and again, I think like the same thing of him being like the moral center of the episode, that also
Yeah.
to me plays into heart eyes. And yeah, and yeah, he just looks real pretty when he's sad. So
Yes.
hard eyes.
Yeah. I gave it a 4.6 because he was precious, but also that horrible, ugly, disgusting shirt happened at the end.
No, that
And
contribute that. See, this is where that knocks points off the wardrobe for me because I don't personally like the shirt, but it adds onto the heart eyes because I love Sam's bad
Because
taste in
his
clothing.
bad taste.
well,
Yes.
happy for you. I do not subscribe to that. Hate that shirt. And y'all know how my hard eyes is gonna like kind of it. I need to see some like angry wingspan. I want to see some
Ooh,
like
yeah.
protect,
Big
like that
chest
moment in
breath.
Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a breast heave from like the benders. So like if he had done that in the shirt, I might be cool. But like he's also in that era of his hair where it's a little flippy for me. I'm ready for season 3, Sam hair, where it's a little bit longer. So 4.6 for me, which is fine. Overall, we rated this episode a 4.74. It's a pretty high episode. It's pretty high up there. It's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, it
And
is.
we're done. We did it.
Woo!
Guys, thank you for
Awesome.
being on, and we're gonna keep rolling. And guys, we'll see you on what is this, the 5th episode? We'll see you on episode 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Awesome.
What is episode 6? It's Hunted, and what's the other one?
And then it is playthings.
What?
Oh, I don't think I'm on the schedule for that one, but now I'm very jealous.
I know.
Well,
We will see you again, Vic, on episode 7, which is Houses of the
House of the
Holy.
Holy.
Yeah.
I'm both very excited and also like, why did I sign myself up for this one? Because I will cry.
You like
House of the Holy.
games.
So beautiful. Anyway. All right.
Yes, anyway.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.